So you tell me. Okay,
I will. My husband's.
so 6 o'clock-ish.
Gotta speak up a lot. We're not using the microphone.
Oh, do you want to move the whole thing up this way somehow?
Well, I've got to
Can hear
get.
fine.
Can you hear fine?
I can hear fine, yep.
Okay,
Okay, in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that the meeting of Public Access Cable Committee is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube sometime after the meeting. This meeting is being held in person at the location provided in notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided, as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in any specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person rather than virtual attendance accordingly. Zoom meeting information is in the notice. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. As we have one member attending by Zoom, we will be using roll call for voting. So we will do a roll call. We'll do a roll call to find out who's here. So Mr. Lincoln, are you here?
Yes, here.
Mr. Sarapas,
Here, via Zoom.
Mr. Ashenbach,
Present.
and the Lady Beal.
President,
And
Lady Beal, I've been.
as
He's
chair.
British. You got a title now.
I have a title.
So, and Steve Walker as chair, we are here and have a quorum. Joe is also here as manager. The first item on the agenda after the roll call is public comments. Do we have any public comments? Seeing no members of the public present, that would be surprising. Do we have any committee comments? Hearing none, do we have any communications? Hearing none, can we please review the minutes for the last meeting, which was sent out at least 3 hours later than they normally are? What the hell's going on here? Hey, you started this. It's so if anyone has any comments or clarifications or on the minutes. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to accept.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call, Mr. Lincoln.
Aye.
Mr. Serapis.
Aye.
Mr. Ashen.
Aye.
The lady, Beal, that's right, and myself.
Aye.
Thank you all. Phew. As long as other people don't find out what a good job we do on minutes, some other committees will steal you.
I know, you're not the only committee I do this for.
Oh, is that right?
I also do the musicians union in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
And
okay.
with them, they get cartoons and humorous things. But this is government.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
probably
do government.
shouldn't do that.
No, you no. So my minutes there are much more interesting.
So we're at the point in the agenda of the manager's monthly report. If you be so kind, Joe.
okay. Well, I'm gonna start off with something that happened and that I am working on. It's not listed here, but there was a file that was accidentally deleted that I am trying to recover, and I'm hopeful to recover it. But at this point, I'm not sure that's possible. I'm working with some different software and trying to get a consultant to help out with that. So we should know within the next few days if that file will be recoverable.
Is it an important file?
Yes. Yep, it's a video file from the TriCaster from a show.
Okay, it's not like a software thing where. Like the computer won't work.
No,
It's an
No.
actual working.
It's a data file. It's a video
Okay,
file.
never mind,
it's
that's all.
a video file, yeah,
Okay.
so I'm working on getting that recovered. This month we had 15 new programs, mostly basketball and a girls' basketball interview, which came out really great. Matt Monroe did that one. We're working on a studio auditorium simulation in the studio. We've done setup. We're just waiting for equipment to go forward and simulate that situation because our January 17th meeting in the auditorium failed miserably, and we're trying to rectify the problem and make sure it's gonna work for the next auditorium shoot.
Mm.
So we just got the equipment. With the bad weather, we probably won't do it tomorrow. I'm booked Wednesday,
Oh,
perhaps Wednesday afternoon.
whatever works.
And we'll get that done.
We also need the IT people to collaborate, because one of the problems was the way the networks did not work happily together.
How are you going to simulate the ambient noise?
We're not doing it at that level.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
they-
I mean, there's a lot of
Oh.
variables between the auditorium and studio, and
Right.
I don't understand
Yeah,
what you're simulating.
we're really simulating the equipment situation, not so much the environment,
Okay,
just to make sure we can have an optimal setup so that we can eliminate a lot of the problems that happened.
uh-huh,
One thing we are stopping is using the wireless network that part of the setup involved before. Now we're going old school,
okay.
putting in wires and a switch
I saw,
and trying to make it so that students can't get on the network at the same time as we're trying. So
I saw some comments about problems at a town meeting. And I thought we were good with our setup in the town meeting.
the town meetings have worked well.
Well, not town meeting, I mean,
Selectmen.
selectmen.
There was a selectman
With
meeting
Zoom.
where it was going off and on.
But in the auditorium.
Oh, a Zoom one, okay,
First half hour.
okay, because I saw people complaining on Facebook.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're getting our RAM, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I just got a email from Lane. Castus was gonna send us some more RAM, which is supposed to alleviate some of those problems that happened at the selectmen board's meeting.
So that's like a GMC truck that got RAM on the front of it.
Yeah,
The football team on the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Forgot that.
so
So they're coming to install it or we install it?
we're gonna have to install it. I'll have Dan and IT install it.
Okay, not thrilled about that, but okay.
Well, to continue with what I asked, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but was the problem in the select board meeting because Zoom was used? Or were there other reasons?
We think that the Castus is not handling the load. And therefore, Castus is giving us some RAM memory,
Memory of
which
it?
should help with
Okay.
that.
All right, I didn't make the
Yeah.
connection of what you were saying.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining.
Okay. APDC is added to our monthly schedule. They're gonna be the first Tuesday of the month at 7:30 PM.
What's AD?
APDC, Architectural Preservation District
Oh.
Commission.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I saw them on. Yeah, recently.
yeah. Heather requested that we record their meetings and they requested it, so
Okay,
we're gonna start doing that. The Laurie Holden project is still in the works. Dan is working on that and he's adding a police interview regarding drunk driving. So,
That's a how-to.
no. We had a new round of production technician interviews and we're down to 2 candidates. Haven't made a decision yet.
Are you happy with the 2, or do you need to keep looking?
Both the candidates were good.
We had the best of each of them.
Yeah.
That's the one we're looking for.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
Life isn't like that.
hybrid.
Right.
I'm working on a volunteer video. I have an old video of myself asking for volunteers, but I'm going to use Castus Cuts, which is a software, which is a video editor program within Castus that will give me 3 windows. So I can have text on the top saying, you know, volunteer. The current video I have of myself asking for volunteers. And the third piece is I'm going to create something that is just silent. So they can all run together. So I'm working on that. And I'm compiling the manager's Bible, which is everything that I do and all of our subscriptions and all of our software. Some Castus procedures. As soon as we finish this simulation, I will write up a documentation as to how to do the auditorium recordings. Yeah.
Like a best
Just-
practices.
Best practices, if I get hit by a bus,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I'm working on that. And the rest of this is regarding earmarks, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, right? The earmark.
Oh, I'm doing that.
We can do it now. The town manager got a request from the legislative team at the last select board meeting that they were at, that they typically earmark $50,000 to $100,000 for different projects for the town or what have you. And the town manager sent out a request for us to come up with projects that, or you know, something that we would like earmarked for consideration. So Steve and I talked about it, and we really think a used van would help us out a lot. Right now, when we bring equipment from the studio to a location, it has to go in someone's car. Sometimes it's mine, sometimes it's Dan's. There's a lot of wear and tear on the equipment on the car. If we had a used van, some of the equipment could live in the van without having to be transported all the time. Plus, we could have extra equipment there in case we forgot something, which has happened many times. It would have room for cameras, cables, tripods, and then whatever we load into it for the shoot. Basically, non-electrical equipment would go in there just so it could be safely stored.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I listed here, the reasons why we would need it would be mobility, access, organization, branding, and liability. Branding I didn't mention, but that's having our logo on the side of the
Yeah.
van.
That's
On
good.
each side of the van would be a good start.
And it certainly stops people from asking, I wonder if they're filming this, or if they see the van at the event, they'll know that
Yeah.
we're covering it.
Yeah, so we'd like to request an earmark of about $22,000 for the van and all of the equipment we need to put in it.
Can I mention something that I was at Friends of the Library meeting last week, and they mentioned that Subaru wants to get involved with sponsoring things for the town. And they had, asked the Friends of the Library if they needed anything, and nothing was decided. And I think that would be something to pursue. That maybe, there could be some branding for them on the van as well.
Right,
Or even if they didn't give us a van, although that would be nice, if they would do all the maintenance on the van or something for something.
yeah, yeah. I know they do a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
So we should make a decision. Steve wanted to say something.
Who would pay for the insurance and the maintenance?
We're not sure yet. I have to check with the town to see if they would cover the insurance, or at least we could go under their insurance.
Yeah, because we would need to build that into the budget if it's something that
If
the
it
town,
happens, right.
right, if it
Yeah,
happens and if the
This
town,
is an earmark, so.
yeah,
Something that quite actually I'm completely against as a process, but it's the way it works.
Would the DPW do maintenance?
I'm not sure.
That'd be different
you
things.
could.
Yeah.
I don't know how, who does the police cars and all that, oil changes. I don't know if they have.
I get to pick my own trips.
I
I know what you meant.
Building for a studio, it's like, well, Now
52
what?
years.
Right,
we have a building, and now we have to pay
Right.
for everything else.
right. I need to look into those things, and the earmark requests are due today.
Hmm,
So we wanted to bring that forth to find out your feelings on that, and if you would give a, I don't know if it's an official approval or.
I make a motion that we approve the suggestion of a used van for the earmarked funds that the town has set aside.
Actually, the town hasn't said.
No, just
Oh,
This is from
whatever.
Massachusetts.
the earmark project
Okay,
slash
earmarked,
used van.
I know you'll put it
I
in
know, I'll
correctly.
Second the motion.
Oh, a voice. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, just let you know I'm not sleeping over here.
It's odd.
Yeah, Oz.
That's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
So just picking that. We need any further, any further discussion? No, we want a second. You made the
Paul
motion.
second.
First,
Paul
Paul
second.
second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call, Mr. Lincoln. Aye. Mr. Serapis.
Aye.
Mr. Ashenbach
Aye.
and the Lady Beal
Aye.
and myself. Hey. It's kind of fun at these meetings. Why you can-
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay. Everybody good?
Well, I mean, actually, if you want to peruse through the package, it gives the financials. And as you can see by the sheet, the second financial, no, I'm sorry, the first financial sheet, we are at 961,566.
Now, with the available budget for operations, we have until June 30th. So will this 83,000 be enough? And if there's an excess, what happens to the funds
Where's
for
the,
the operating? At the top here. Budget
Oh.
operations, available budget. It says there's, that 211,000.
that's what it was set at to
Was
start.
set at to start,
Yeah.
and that and the available budget in the bold says 83,000.
Well, that's allocated throughout the line items,
Yeah,
so it's not just a chunk of 83,000. it's spread out throughout each line item.
I just remembered that when I had a town department budget or city, I had to use it or they would just take it back and I would get less the following year.
We work differently.
We work differently.
We have, whatever the fund is called.
Enterprise.
Enterprise, thank you. And at the end of the year, if we haven't used it, it's not only returned to the fund, but it's audited by the state and we get a certificate saying it was put back in the fund.
Okay,
These are all reserved funds in and out of the master fund.
okay, thank you.
Anything further from anybody?
No, this just in the package as usual, calendars and the program analysis. And we're at 68% local programming.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, the closer to 70, the better. Over 70 is really good.
Okay, good, that's those down there. Wonderful, Pete.
I have one.
I can
That's for Paul.
use the one I wrote.
Okay.
Paul, I sent you a file, which is this thing. So if you're okay
Yes,
to follow along.
Yes, thank you. I have it. I've opened it and I will follow along.
Thank you. So I've did the changes that I was asked to make, went through some of the numbers. And I found as I was doing that, we had a $30,000 error in the spreadsheet.
Oh.
And there are two possibilities with that. That's either good news or bad news. And the good news is it's good news.
Good.
I had accounted for the capital of 30,000 twice, for which I completely blame the spreadsheet, by the way. So if you look at the numbers at the bottom in the circle, that's the way I'm going through this. So number 2, I did put the
What page number?
2. So I did put the hyphen in the wastebasket Pete's request. I was going to add some others just for the fun of it, but I didn't. And the next one we talked about, and I haven't changed, was the Comcast fee income. That's most of our income. The next one we need to talk about, which is page 4. That's the one with the yellow sticker on it, Paul. You still there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'll just leave my microphone open at this point because I'm muted and I'm switching between screens. I am on page 4 though. Yeah.
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
So our anticipated income, the Comcast is derived from our historical income. We have interest, which actually has been going up during this financial year, but so have interest rates. And then it crossed my mind that because we have in this fund, the enterprise fund, $9,000, why are we only getting 6,700 interest off it? If we were to put it into a 6-month treasury bill, I'm not giving financial advice. If we were at 5%, the interest would be $45,000 per year. That's equivalent to a whole quarterly payment from Comcast, potentially. So I want to ask the question, but before I do that, I want to make sure the committee is happy that I do ask the question. There may be rules in the town that such money is being reserved, may not be invested, may not be used to buy a skidoo or something like that. But I think somehow it should be better than that because we could use it. Do I have any input from anybody?
I think it's, I commend you for catching it, and I think we should look at that. But also find out what the rules are.
That's really the question.
What are the rules? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rules are probably clear.
I guess, a question I would have is, you say a treasury note. Is that as liquid as a certificate of deposit? So like, for instance, if you buy a CD that's got a 6-month term or a 1-year term, you can still cash it out if you have an emergency, but then you pay a penalty on it.
I think you're right to ask the questions. You're not asking the right people. The idea here was put it in something that has a maturity. Because we know if word comes down, we're getting a new studio. It's going to be at least 6 months before we get the key to the door.
Mm.
So that's why I picked something short. Now, if something like this is done, the town needs to bring their expertise and skills to it. Not the engineers sitting around the table.
Where is the money right now? Is it at a bank?
It's more bills in the back of.
I don't know, I don't know what,
I don't know where.
I don't know what bank it's in, but it is in a bank.
Back of Steve Walker.
In Silicon Valley, right?
One hopes they didn't pick that bank. Right?
Yeah,
No, we're covered. It's under 250,000.
that's-
Well, that's true as well. Okay, so I will raise the question, which is what I was looking for, confirmation from the committee.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
yeah.
So-
So
Yes.
who would you meet with, the town manager or the?
Well, there are two ways of doing it. We could meet with the finance department. The finance director, my understanding, is retiring. June, did you say? I think. So we will get a new one, I presume. Or I can just bring it up at the presentation to FinCom, where the whole finance committee's there.
And
Yeah,
I would,
taking
I would go
advice
to the
here.
finance person in town first. To
Okay.
find out what the parameters are.
Mhm.
The finance committee is very good at what they do. They are outstanding. But I don't think they know the answer you're looking for.
Okay,
Also, if I may,
Yeah,
I think the
please.
downside to bring it to a whole committee is then it just opens it up to public debate, which may not really be necessary at this time. If there are other people attending the meeting. Or even just, yeah,
And
I
it may
think-
be misunderstood too,
right,
because it's such a different way of finances as opposed to town budget. So we don't want to open up to that
Right.
either.
that's why I brought it to the committee, because I'd just go charging on like a bull. Or around maybe. Let's go with the rounds.
Round.
Bull.
don't put it on Facebook.
Command would be the finance officer.
Can we do that?
Through Heather.
Yeah,
Sorry, what?
Can we set up a meeting with the finance officer in the next few days
Sure.
and to discuss that? Okay, that's why I'm looking for input. I'm not the best judge of, well, a lot of things. The fringe indirect costs. That's an input to the budget, which I've just pulled in. But what I did do, because this financial year, even if we get a product technician by the end of this month, it'll only be 1/4 of the benefits for employees for this financial year. So they will return some to us. So I calculated, which is what this next page is, page 6. I calculated what the return would be. So that I can use it in another calculation to see how much money we have at the end of the day. Which is we get 22,000 back. Just so you're aware, one reason when they do those benefits for an employee we don't have yet, they put the maximum health benefit in there for a person with multiple children, multiple
Yeah.
children. I didn't say wife, I almost said wives. We don't know, whatever the rules are, but they put the maximum. And the
Called
next-
family plan. It's a
Yeah.
family plan. It's just one thing, family plan.
Oh, I don't know that.
It's,
yet.
there are individual plans, and
Right.
family plans, that's it.
Oh, I thought there was one for a couple and then one with kids and that.
I
kind
don't
of
think
thing.
Lunenburg
No.
has the couple.
I don't know,
I don't know.
There is one available, but I don't think Lunenburg has
not
it.
my expertise, but thank you. The next page is essentially unreadable, but it's in the correct format. So what I did is I don't pull the formatting, and the next page has the same information. This is page 8, has the same information, but in a bigger font for those of us who need
Yes.
multiple pairs of
Thank
glasses to
you.
read it down. So the last column of numbers is the one I would like us to scan down, see if something's got altered you're uncomfortable with. And bear in mind, that's where previously I had accounted the capital in operations by mistake. And then I counted the capital as well. So right now, the bottom line, the very bottom number, is the excess of our income over our operations. Okay, now bear in mind that we used to run with a franchise fee of 2.5%. That was pushed up to 5%. We are getting better income. We still have to manage it carefully. So if we go down it quickly, the 83,000 was the combination of Joe's salary and an expected 20-hour employee for the whole financial year. This is 24. 27,000 because our videographers are now unbenefited hourly employees was the number we had before.
Okay, now,
And
just a question, the first one, salaries. When we were looking at the proposed budget, we had 84.
right, and the reason for that is because longevity is on here separately.
Oh, okay,
I have absolutely no idea. I'm just trying to follow the rules.
okay,
And that's why we end up with a strange number for a budget of $110,961.14
okay.
So the 111,000 essentially is the
This, yeah,
salary package, okay? Almost all the others remain the same. There was one we changed slightly, which I did change. So the 6,000 is the rent, the vendor expenses, purchase of service, person who does the bulletin. In the middle of it, you'll see $30,000, and the note at the side says capital, not operations. So, the PEG access expenses then come to 184,000. And if we include the 30,000 capital, the next number down 214,000. Our budgeted income, Comcast revenue 205. Interest, I have a note there saying it needs review. Retained earnings, we have to find out what to put in there. It's very confusing.
Well, we don't have a need to put anything in there now,
I think you're probably right, and I hope you're right, because that's the way it is.
right?
The thing I don't understand about retained earnings is when they become available. So monies that we didn't use this financial year aren't available on the 1st of July. Is that right? You're looking as confused as I actually am.
Yeah, could you repeat that?
Probably not. The monies left over from our budget for this financial year
Yeah,
aren't available for us on the 1st of July of next financial year. They have to be qualified and reinstated by the state, and they're called
That's-
retained earnings.
that's as far as I know.
I got it right?
It goes back into retained earnings.
Oh, yeah, well, it goes back into our fund, yes.
Right,
But
but
that's
not available on.
but not
first day
available
of the
Right.
fiscal year. How long is it
usually.
before they're
all-
available?
I believe it's
October
August.
usually,
Oh, really?
Wow.
September, October, they certify the cash,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So if our fund is mainly spent on a new studio,
Mhm.
we're gonna have to do a much better job of budgeting very precisely. So we'll do the best we can.
What's the chance of that happening? in the next
Um,
5 years?
Can we talk about snowballs and weather kettles? I don't know what I have no sense of schedule on it.
Schedule.
It's his fault. But I'm confident that if there is a go-ahead given, it won't happen instantly. You know, there'll be a period of time. I haven't been able to get to any of the building committee meetings.
The last one was televised, so it's pretty, was gonna be.
That's what, well, let's put it, this is nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
You had said that, and I hadn't heard that. But if they're going to do that, would they please give us 3 rooms and fix them up properly, and then,
It was just
Reserve.
thrown in.
okay, not predicting stuff on that. I'm still hopeful. So here's the troublesome slide. Slide 10, if you're counting, Paul, it says Pacc fund summary estimated. So I took
What
the
happened to
numbers.
9?
We're up to 9.
Yeah, 9 is missing.
Yeah, what happened to page, let's go back to page 9.
There is
Summary.
no 9.
Right, we're right. I wonder what was on page 9.
Well, we don't need it anyway. Yeah.
Yes, you do. It's the summary budget.
Oh,
My printer ran out of memory, so I had to do it in 2 runs. Okay, you all don't have 9.
Oh, I have 9.
Yes, I
Because
mean,
I'm looking at the electronic version.
right.
I mean, basically, it's just a summary of page 8.
okay.
Okay, so my apologies for that. So I will walk you through the summary budget. So this is the slide
Is
that.
that how you got your name,
Wow.
Steve Walker?
Did you want me to?
Is that practical or possible?
Thank you.
We're taking a break to get copies. That's the one slide that of course you missed this one out. The one slide that FinCom should focus on. The other stuff is in support of getting there. The detailed slide is only if they have specific questions about a specific item.
Okay,
Overall is what they should be looking at and agreeing or disagreeing that we do have the money and we can spend it on what we say we're going to spend it on.
Steve, have you had someone actually check your arithmetic to use an old-fashioned word? And while we're waiting for the copies, if you want, I can do that on.
I did already. Well, on the main sheet, I did.
Yeah,
It was
is-
correct.
It is spreadsheet, it's not calculator, but. as
Oh,
we-
okay.
it's
So spreadsheet.
Also do exactly what you tell them.
Okay.
That's a big problem with spreadsheets.
yeah, you get the formula wrong.
Yeah,
One character. Wow, that was great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's better than the original.
Did you have to pay for copy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's 40 cents. It's not a big deal.
I'll put
Thank
a
you.
bill into Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 9. The salaries, round about 111,000. The indirect costs, that's the benefits, come out to 51,500. And those numbers that I have had to generate because we don't know how much things like health insurance are going to go up for this financial year. You haven't heard anything, anybody? No, no.
Oh, I heard a number and I can't remember what it was. It wasn't gonna go up as much as they thought.
Well, for the purposes of calculation, I put 10% in.
Oh, it's not gonna go 10%.
No, no, but I would.
But that's
rather-
what I would do. I think all the budgets do that. They budget higher,
Yeah,
That's what I would like.
so you're
Okay.
fine.
Operations excluding salaries and benefits are 22,300. So a total operations of $185,000. That's what it takes to run the show. This is daily expenses, salaries, all the bits and pieces, plus buying SD cards, small expenses. If we had additional small camera, we could buy it that way. Building up the auditorium system so it handles Zoom properly, small expenses. So the estimated income, which we looked at a little earlier, 211,670. The capital of 30,000, which is where we think it's reasonable. That number is basically there, not that we're expecting typically to spend it, but if the Castus goes off and to the wherever servers go when they die, we have to put another one in.
They go to the
That's-
cloud.
That's about where we need to be, so it's kind of for that reason. So that total is 214,000. The difference, oh, I'm sorry, the capital comes out of the enterprise fund. The money's coming from Comcast at the moment are for operations. So the excess of income over budget, drum roll, you got a drum roll, Steve? It's $27,000. Previously, it was $3,000 negative. This is good because we don't get any more capital money, so this goes into the fund. And when we look at the numbers for the fund, one of the problems is with inflation running the way it is at the moment, and no more income going into that fund except what we don't spend. Equipment will, it's strange, equipment goes both up and down in price. However, to create the studio, we will be using people, we will be using contractors to put pipe work in the ceiling, have to put soundproofing in, maybe a special floor, all sorts of stuff.
Have to go by prevailing wages because we're
Right.
a municipality, which is very
Yeah.
expensive.
So the little box at the bottom says, note, total operations is less than expected income. And that's exactly what the committee is supposed to try and do.
Okay, my question is, do we know what to expect from Comcast, given the declining enrollment in Comcast, or I don't,
Subscription.
subscription, that's the word.
Right,
Thanks.
I have a piece of paper here. We can. One of the spreadsheets, Comcast fee estimate, it's not part of the presentation.
Mhm.
Um,
But if someone asks you.
oh, somebody asked, I have this.
Yeah.
What happened? So, no, Joe's not thrilled with this, but I'm doing it by calendar year. Because that's the way they come in, so
Can't work
Joe
that
and
way.
us, and I have agreed to disagree on that one. But the way the numbers have come in works out, so calendar 20. It had 199,651. The calendar 21, it went down by less than 2%.
Okay.
The calendar 22, it went up by 4%.
So
And
that's,
there are a couple of reasons for this, which is, I'm glad you asked, because it makes me practice this.
yes.
If
practice.
we have more building going on in Lunenburg,
That's
more
what I was
families
wondering,
moving in.
yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is during COVID, people were reducing services. They kept cable, but because they were out of work, weren't getting income. And so they would reduce services. And the fee is based on video services. There is an act which I will talk about right at the end, where
Yeah.
they're trying to ensure that despite the fact people are reducing video services, we will still be getting income, but nobody has any idea what it would be. One thing Mass Access has advised is just for information. We don't talk about cable cutting because one of the problems is they're not cutting the cable. They're using it a different way.
Okay,
So they're using it for streaming.
right.
not for traditional linear TV. So I learned that from Mass Access. See, I do pay attention.
I know Mass Access has been working with
Yeah. Well,
lobbyists.
we've got all sorts going on. I've got a slide on
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I'll
all right.
wait till we get to
it. I hate
that.
to do it twice.
Yeah.
Just under a foot of snow out there.
I have just a small question.
Please,
Where it says total, does total mean something, or should it just be one word total there?
it's total of totals. So there are two, there's a total capital and there's a total operations.
Okay,
So if I'm adding totals, I call it total. It's a quirk, English people do it.
I see. Okay, I've just never seen it before. I think the Americans would say grand total.
Tonight you
don't see
learned
what it
something,
is.
that's good. So,
Yes. Leave it in there, just like that.
Oh, there, that
Yeah.
total, okay.
Yeah, we're from this stuff.
We call it grand total.
Yeah, that's.
it,
Little grandiose for me, I don't do.
Well, Lady Beal, I think you should.
Ridiculous. Okay. So. Yeah. So we went through the summary budget. That's a good place if anyone still has any questions to raise them. If not, that's the box we're going with. Okay,
So we're assuming that we're not making any more interest than we're already making.
oh, I have not changed that number,
Okay,
so no, I wouldn't dare do that.
yeah,
So I did a PAC fund summary because this is something FinCom should be interested in. And I have a slight concern with it, so I took the fund at the end of financial year 22 off Joe's sheets that she gives us. I estimated our income for financial year 23. The return of the direct costs that we talked about. The estimated operational expenses for 23 I took out. This is 23, not 24, so we're missing a production technician. Put the capital expenses there. And if you do the correct sum, which I absolutely have faith in my spreadsheet to do, we would have just over $1 million in the fund. Now, the reason I'm concerned about that is that may get some people's attention, despite the fact it's reserved funds. But it's also fair that we tell FinCom that's what it looks like. If anyone has comments on that and says you're out of your mind, don't even think of doing it.
what are we
Now's a good time.
required to share with them?
Oh, I have no idea.
I just don't believe in flaunting. Well, actually, I do, but. But,
What channel's that on?
yeah.
They should know this number, even if they haven't asked for it,
Okay,
because it's based on this number that we've got enough for next year's budget.
okay,
And it's also based on this number that if they, when they give us the space for a new studio, that we can properly equip that and make it one of, I think, will probably be the best studio in Lunenburg.
In Massachusetts.
yeah,
What
I
is-
was going there, I was going.
Would it be possible to maybe put a little asterisk number next to that bottom line? And remind people again that this is not any of the town's money, this is the enterprise money, and that this is money that will eventually be put towards a new studio, sort of like.
Can I
And
put
it'll-
a little box at the bottom, like on the other slides where I want to make a comment? And
Yeah.
actually restate that is what you're suggesting.
unless,
That's a really good idea. I like that. Thank you.
unless you move over the column a little bit and put estimated enterprise fund.
I haven't, I called it PAC fund. I should use the word enterprise because it has Specific meaning,
Mhm.
but I will also put a box at the bottom
Mhm.
as a reminder.
Yeah.
Just to bore them all. That these are reserved funds and that we are looking forward to our new studio space. And I can finish on a positive sense. I like this. Thank you, sir. You're good. Appreciate it.
Just try, not that anyone's going to read it, but if someone raises the question, then you can say it's right here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, and just as an update, because some things have changed. The next slide, which is on 11, is an act to modernize funding for community media. This is an act actually now in committee. The numbers have changed. And the committee is AITIC, which, as everybody knows, stands for
Association.
the
The room
IC.
above your.
I
top room in the
Attic,
house,
it's
under the roof.
attic.
There's what?
Attic,
You're
yeah.
missing the T, it's attic.
Well, when I put it in, I thought, it looks like attic,
Actually,
but I will replace that.
Association of IT,
Yes, I know, it's not ideal.
it's not IT,
It's internet and telecommunications,
Communications.
stuff like that.
yeah.
I will try and find the right name for it, but I don't have. But it is now in a joint committee. Did you realize that, Joe?
No,
That's good.
Because I don't understand this political stuff, but typically you have a House committee, a Senate committee. And only after they've done work do they put them together.
Right,
This is actually a joint committee.
that's a good
That's
sign,
fascinating. I thought it was a good sign.
yes.
Okay, so this is when people talk about loss of monies coming in. This is my playing card to say, we understand that, and we're prepared for it, and this work's going on. We're all good with that?
Yeah,
The warrants at the back, because they won't know, but it's already submitted because the deadline for the warrants is 3 days before the FinCom meeting. So this is the same as it was.
I like the one solution for state instead of town by town,
Actually, I like that.
yeah.
We in, I think, 4 years, Joe, new contract.
probably for,
Be nice if we didn't have to do that.
Advanced
Yeah.
information technology. The internet and cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it?
I was right about the, say it again.
It's the advanced
Informational
information technology,
technology.
comma, the internet and cybersecurity.
Okay, thank you.
I think the bottom 3 bullet points are really good to have in there. Because those are questions I would have. Pardon me. Other states and municipalities have already imposed these fees. That's really good. And that it's a refile, not a start over. That's also important.
Say that again, Paul, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, the final 3 bullet points I think are very useful to have in there. That other states, municipalities have already imposed these fees. So we're, like, we're not going to be challenged in court. Well, they'll probably challenge in court anyways, but basically it's already been established. In that it's not a start over, but it's momentum on previous sessions.
Right.
So they're not starting from the ground floor. It's already,
I assume they'd just start over again, but apparently it's a carryover. That's good.
yeah, well, I know because of like the way they're dealing with the municipal utility bill, similar type of thing, joint committee, et cetera.
Right, can we just get back from home at 5 o'clock and,
Oh,
my wife, I'd be out.
okay. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good thing the traffic wasn't there.
We are still a quorum. So what I need from the committee is a motion that lets me present this with its backup data to FinCom at their meeting. And in the event it was needed for the town meeting, to use it to present at the town meeting as well.
I make that motion.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Paul. Any further discussion? Hearing none by roll call. Mr. Lincoln had to leave. Paul, Mr. Sarafis,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Faith,
I,
and myself, aye. So we're good to go with this. Okay, thank you all, I appreciate you allowing me
okay,
to
so
have so
if
much
we
fun with
already
the spreadsheet.
voted in the proposed
The
warrant.
the warrant we did last time,
Oh, okay,
because that's already gone in.
okay, great.
We voted. So we have, that was the final budget review.
I like the pictures.
I know they
You'd
came
like
out
even
nice.
more if you see the presentation. They float in.
Oh. Well,
The fun ones, the boxes at the bottom. I didn't know PowerPoint had this. They come in and bounce, if you can like this.
Yeah,
That's one of the,
I've had some fun with
Choices,
PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Otherwise I make mistakes on spreadsheets. That's really bad. We still have, it's 7 o'clock and weather is supposed to be closing in.
Yeah.
It is raining.
need a, oh, you don't need a motion.
Do you want to move to table the personal?
I think that was an
policy?
excellent idea, Steve.
I second that motion. Did you actually make a motion yet, Steve?
Sure. I made
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, second that.
okay. The next meeting I see is 6 o'clock on April the 10th. Anyone have problems with that?
No.
Thus, I will
Move to
entertain a
adjourn.
motion.
Second.
No
You don't need
discussion.
this.
No discussion. Actually, that's open for discussion. but
Oh,
We'll take the second.
okay.
So in which case we adjourn at 1 minute past 7. Isn't that target to do this in 1 hour?
Yes, my husband didn't believe that I. Out
Did we
before he
adjourn?
got locked out of the library.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Good to
Take
see you
care.
all. I'll be there in person next time, I promise.
Okay.